Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by World Series of Fighting Welterweight Jake Shields. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing good. Just got done lifting weights. Now, about to grab a little lunch before I go back to the gym.
Jake, the name of the game is really random. That's where I ask you a random question and you give me the real answer. Some of these questions are custom made just for you, and some of these questions are generic ones that I ask all the people I interview. So here's the first question. Superpower you'd love to have?
Superpower I'd like to have? Oh man, I guess be able to fly, make it easy to get around, swimming, going places. I look a little weird just taking off though.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? It's not like one movie that sticks out. You know, it's hard to say. Like there's Pulp Fiction, Fight Club, but there's not necessarily one movie.
Movie you've seen the most times?
Probably Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back. When I was a kid, I'd watch those over and over. And Raiders of the Lost Ark. Those movies, you know, when you're a kid, you watch things over and over.
Favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite guilty pleasure?
Favorite guilty pleasure? Oh man, I don't know. Can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay. Go-to song when you're singing in the shower?
I'm not really a singer. I'm a terrible singer, so I don't want to make anyone around me here.
Coming up on April 2nd, you're going to have a grappling match at Polaris, not Paul Harris, even though he'll be there. He's fighting in the main event.
It sounds like it. People get confused.
Yeah.
Already fight him? Oh, no, it's different.
Yeah, the event is called Polaris. Paul Harris is fighting on that card as well. When you see that guy at the event, are you going to slap him, or are you just going to turn around and walk the other way?
You know, originally I wanted to slap the guy when I saw him because I think he's a terrible person, you know, gouging my eyes and doing the stuff he does. But at this point, I'm over it. I think the guy's, I think he's maybe a little mentally handicapped. It's like, I don't think he has any business fighting, but at this point, I'm just, he's not worth my time.
Let's say that something crazy happens where Gary Tonin falls out for whatever reason. You know, knock on wood, I don't wish anything bad on the guy, but just for sake of the question, let's say something happens to him and they say, hey, Jake, how about you step up in the main event and have a grappling match against Paul Harris? Do you tell them yes, or do you say no?
It's something I would consider. It actually was ran by me by both Metamoris and Polaris, and both of them, you know, the same thing. It's like I'm not opposed to the match, but to me, it's like a fight, so it's gonna have to be good money. You know, I do jiu-jitsu because I love it, and it's like not stressful. But if I'm fighting someone like him, it's gonna be. I'm gonna look at it as a real fight, and I'm gonna have to take it really serious. And you're going in there knowing you might get hurt, so I'd be willing to go against him again, but I'd probably rather do it in MMA so I can punch him in his face. But I do it grappling, but it has to be a good payday.
Because you hit Paul Harris after the bell, the Nevada State Athletic Commission sentenced you to 50 hours of community service. I'm just curious, have you completed those 50 hours? And if so, where did you do this community service?
Yeah, I did. I went and worked with Choke Out Cancer. It's like a local organization around here, which, you know, obviously it sucks getting community service, but turned into a good thing. Got to go work with the kids with cancer and, you know, teach some seminars and go to the hospital. It's one of those things that makes you appreciate your life and appreciate being healthy. So, I think it was bullshit. I got community service, but it turned into a good thing overall.
Because you have this grappling match coming up, what exactly is your training looking like right now? Are you only focusing on grappling because you have this grappling match coming up, or are you still doing full MMA training even though you have this grappling match right around the corner? What exactly is your training looking like right now?
Kind of in between, actually, because I'm doing some of my training. I'm just doing a little bit less, you know. Like I'm only sparring once a week instead of like twice a week, and you know, I've cut the pad time down. I'm still doing a little MMA drills, but just maybe cut my MMA and kickboxing in half, and then up my grappling a little bit.
What do you know about your opponent?
Honestly, don't know much about him. I know he's a good wrestler that mixes jiu-jitsu. I believe he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he mixes it too well. I think he's won some pretty big tournaments. I watched a couple little clips of him. He seems talented, but everyone who's a total prick that knows him. So not a guy I want to lose to. What's
the deal with World Series of Fighting right now? You're in, I don't really know if we can call it a contract dispute, because I've heard some of your interviews from the past, and you've said that things are, you know, in the right direction. You're working towards getting a deal done. What's the deal with World Series of Fighting? Are we going to see you fight for them soon?
Yeah, hopefully so. You know, I'm ready to, I'm healthy, ready to fight again. As long as, like I said, I haven't talked to him last week or so. I think we were we're close to having the contract issues to figure it out. We just got to figure out if I'm going to wait and fight for the title again, or if I'm going to fight someone else first, or what we're going to do.
What don't you like about the contract? Is it just the language in the contract, or is it the money?
Well, it was basically when we fight for a title, and then if you fight with a title, the way my contract was stuck, it was my last fight, but I would be stuck the championship with no money negotiated. I just didn't want to stuck being the champion making really crappy money. So I wanted to get that worked out where I either just fought my last fight and become a free agent, negotiate around, or negotiate a contract so I'm getting paid good with the title. So, and like I said, we haven't 100% resolved it, but we've talked, and I think we're more or less on the same page. We'll be able to, sounds like we're going to be able to find a way to resolve it.
Because of this contract dispute, a lot of people have been saying that Jake Shields is trying to get out of his contract with World Series of Fighting and go fight for Scott Coker over at Bellator, because obviously when you were fighting for Strikeforce, you fought for Scott Coker when he was running that show. So a lot of people believe that you're going to leave World Series of Fighting and go to Bellator. But I keep remembering back to the ending of your run with Strikeforce and the whole Dan Henderson fight and how they weren't promoting you and how you left on bad terms with Strikeforce. Right now, what kind of relationship do you have with Scott Coker? Are you guys on good terms? Are you on good enough terms that if you should decide to leave World Series of Fighting and look elsewhere, would Bellator be someplace that you'd go? Are you on good terms with Scott Coker?
Yeah, no, me and Scott are good terms. I mean, obviously I left the Dan Henderson thing, and, he wasn't that happy about it, but the scheme of things, it's business, and Scott got that. He's not a stupid guy. He's not a guy to hold grudges. He's not vindictive. I mean, yeah, we didn't leave on amazing terms, but at the same time, we were in a situation where at that point in my career, I really wanted to go fight for the UFC title. And now, sometimes a lot of guys before they've been in the UFC, they want to get there, but once they're there, they realize it's not so great and aren't so happy to be there.
Right now, you're 37. How much longer do you want to keep fighting?
And that's a good question, because I am a little older. I still enjoy fighting, though. My body still feels young. I don't feel old. I feel like I compete with the very, very top guys. I think if there's ever a point where I don't feel like I can compete with the very best in the world, I don't want to do it. Or if I'm not happy to do it, I don't want to do it. I mean, luckily I've been smart with my money and invested, and I'm far from rich, but I got a good amount of money places, and I just do it to still enjoy it.
Did you discover the fountain of youth or something? Because you look the exact same that you did, 10, 12 years ago. It looks like you haven't aged at all. Do you have the fountain of youth and you're just not telling us about it?
I think so. I think it's a combination. Vegetarian diet, make sure you hang out with young girls, and low stress living.
Okay. Let me write that down real quick.
Exactly. It's a good combination. What happened to your hair? Because forever you've had the same hairstyle. Now all of a sudden you have this buzz cut. What's going on with the hair?
Yeah, I was doing those choke out cancer thing. They were doing a head shaving, and I got next thing I know, they were shaving my head off. And you can't say no when it's got kids with cancer around. So I had to take my hair off.
Oh, I see. I thought you were going gray.
I got put on the spot. I'm sitting there being like, wait, my hair? But it's actually not that bad. I got used to it pretty fast. I don't do anything with my hair.
Oh, I see. I was getting worried.
It's growing back a lot slower than I anticipated.
Yeah. What are your goals right now in fighting? Because obviously you've accomplished a ton in this sport. You've beaten a who's who. You've been champion before. You have nothing to prove to anyone. What are your goals right now in fighting?
Yeah, that's a good question, too. I feel like I would like to win one more title, to do a few. But I still enjoy the competition, and I still feel like I can beat the best. I think I've beaten the UFC, the top 5 guys. I think I've beaten like 4 of them, and I feel like I still could be the best in the world, could win my, World Series of Fighting title, the Bellator title, the UFC title. So it's just, let's go out there and get a few more fights, get some guys, and end my career on a positive note.
Do you still fight for the same reasons now that you did when you originally got into this sport?
Yeah, I always did it. I've always just loved competition and loved fighting the best, and it's still the same. You think, I'm sure at some point I'll be over it, and at that point I'll walk away and not fight anymore. But right now I still have a little bit of hunger to go out there and beat some of the top guys.
You've fought for a bunch of these different organizations, some that are still in business, some that are no longer in business. I'm just interested in knowing, how many of the organizations that you fought for during your career have you enjoyed being a part of?
I mean, I've enjoyed most of it. Obviously, some better than others, but it's great experiences. I think probably Strikeforce was the best. When you don't realize till you leave, the UFC is kind of a pain. But being Strikeforce, it was
with Scott Coker running it. It was so hot at the time. It was just, great experience, Rumble on the Rock, World Series. I mean, even the UFC, obviously, don't have the best terms with Dana, but overall, let's fight for the title with, Toronto, like 60,000 fans. It's been a lot of great experiences.
You've won the Strikeforce middleweight belt, the Elite XC welterweight belt, the Rumble on the Rock welterweight belt, and the Shudo 170-pound middleweight title. Out of those belts, do you have a favorite?
That's tough, winning Shudo was really prestigious at the time. I know Shudo hasn't been around big for a while, but at the time it was huge in Japan. That was my first belt. That was quite an accomplishment. And then I think that and probably the Strikeforce are probably the two most prestigious to me.
What do you consider?
That's actually really cool too, because that was an 8-man tournament. That Anderson Silva, Carlos Condit, Okami. That was that crazy night where had those 3 fights. So that was actually a pretty big deal as well. Yeah,
the guys you beat in that tournament: Dave Manet, former UFC middleweight champion, Yushin Okami, and Carlos Condit. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. I think 2 of those guys ended up holding the UFC belt at one time.
Yeah.
Condit kind of won it in interim belt, not exactly the real belt, but still.
Right. Well, he had the WEC belt at one point in time.
That's true too. Yeah, regardless if you can argue the belt's not, he's an amazing fighter. So,
What do you consider the best moment of your career to date? Because you've had a lot of great moments. Ones that jump out off the top of my head are winning that Rumble Rock tournament that you're talking about, the Dan Henderson fight. Lesser known now, but at the time he was a massive star and a legend. Win over Hayato Maha Sakurai, that was a big win for you. What do you consider the best moment of your career as of right now?
Yeah, no, that's true. Like I said, Sakurai was huge because at the time he was ranked number 2 in the world, and I was completely unknown. No ranking at all. So that was an amazing win, going out there and winning that. That was a great feeling. Henderson, of course, there was a lot of hype around that fight. Beating Lawler was cool, but the time wasn't quite as much hype. But it's just hard to say. I've had a lot of good moments.
Does it bother you that there's still a lot of people out there who consider you a boring fighter? Because I don't see it. I don't view you as someone who's boring, because you look at all these wins that you've had. You finished a majority of those guys. People say, oh, well, he's not that exciting, but then you look at your record and all those guys, Robbie Lawler, you finished him. Paul Daly, you finished him. All your bigger wins, a majority of them have been stoppages. So does it bother you that people still consider you boring?
Yeah, of course it'll bother me a little bit, but you can't read too much into it. You can't get over, worked up over the fans. You just got to be like, whatever, and go out there when I fight, go and do my best. Like you said, yeah, I have finished most of the guys. I think, maybe a few of my higher profile fights I haven't finished them, or had some of my not better fights. In the bigger fights, more people are watching, which that's obviously a downside. And it's all I can do is go out there and try to finish all my opponents.
Sticking with the theme of bothering you, does it bother you that people, even though you've accomplished a lot of great things in this sport and you've been champion and you've done a lot of great things, does it still bother you that people question your stand-up? Because there's been a lot of fights, just going down the list of your most recent fights. There's a lot of people, okay, well, fights against Brian Foster, he's probably going to get knocked out. He fights against Ryan Ford, he's probably going to get knocked out. He fights against Hector Lombard, he's probably going to get knocked out. Fights against Tyron Woodley, he's probably going to get knocked out. There's still, even though in the Dan Henderson fight you proved that you have an amazing chin, there's still people who question your stand-up and your striking. Does that bother you?
Again, it's the same thing. It's just a lot of uneducated fans. They don't know. It's like, yeah, maybe my stand-up's not the prettiest looking, but I have good timing, good spacing. I go out there and hit a lot of guys. I go out there and bust up guys like GSP. I do find these guys, Tyrone Woodley. It's just, it's just my style. Maybe it looks a little bit awkward, and some of these casual fans don't really understand the sport that well, and they don't realize that I can go out there and take punches. So it's just something you get used to. You take it for a grain of salt.
Obviously, you could make the case for Pat Miletich and Nick Diaz and I guess Robbie Lawler to be on this list, but this is just my personal top 5 MMA welterweights of all time. Number 1, GSP. Number 2, Matt Hughes. Number 3, you. Number 4, Carlos Condit. And number 5, John Fitch. Do you agree with this list? And if you don't agree with this list, do you think you should be higher?
No, I think that's, I can't argue with this at all. I love it. I definitely put GSP number 1 and Matt Hughes number 2 as well with those crazy streaks they have. And, I think it's great to put me in the top 5. I think it's, I'm not going to disagree with it. I think I've earned it, but I think a lot of guys, unfortunately, don't put me there.
it's very strange, the wins that you've had and the performances you've had. Maybe it's just because you weren't doing it in the UFC, but still, look at the guys who they were when you beat them and what they've done. A lot of the guys that you've beaten have gotten better than when you beaten them. There's a lot of guys who they win fights against great guys, but then after they beat that guy's career spirals downhill and they never recover. But the guys that you've beaten, it's very strange that they lose to you and they get better. It's just it's one of those things.
I'm still beating all the current top guys right now.
Yeah.
Beating all those guys, not to mention lots of the old champs, the old stars. So I've had definitely no doubt that I've fought the best of the best.
Who's the best fighter you ever fought?
Probably GSP. He's just, even though I did well with that fight, I made it close. He's just so skilled. He's really fast, hard to hit. He moves in and out, covers distance. He's just he's just good everywhere.
Who's the toughest fighter you ever fought?
Toughest. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Okay, fair enough. You're one of the very few MMA fighters that doesn't have a nickname. Why is that? Why don't you have a nickname?
Well, I'm not against nicknames by any means. I think some nicknames are cool, but I think every guy tries forcing a nickname, and a lot of these nicknames are just so stupid. I don't want to get a nickname just for the sake of having a nickname. So if something made sense, I would go with it, but everyone tries to tag me with these dumb nicknames. I don't want to have a dumb nickname just to have one.
There was never a nickname you had growing up? Nothing your dad ever called you? You never had anything like that?
No, not really. And a few guys who are sticking with these nicknames, but to me, I just think it's there's no reason to have a nickname just for the sake of having a nickname, because everyone wants one. You see these guys, they'll have like 2 fights and already have a nickname. It's like, you're not even really a professional fighter hardly. You're trying to give yourself a nickname already. I don't want to be like the 12th Pitbull.
How about Jake, the ladies' man Shields? How does that nickname sound?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's not too bad, but I don't know if that's too good either, though.
Is this true? Are you a real ladies' man? I've heard some things.
I do okay. I've definitely done okay. I got a girlfriend now, though, so I'm kind of retired, but I definitely did really well with my time.
Is she Asian? Because I've heard you have Asian fever.
That is true. I don't think you're an Asian true, but the current girlfriend is Asian. And the last one was.
Oh, okay. Tell me about Chimera Coffee. What's your involvement with that company, and how did you get involved with them?
It's this company we started, my friends in the Dominican Republic, it's this Dominican coffee company, which I'm a huge coffee lover, and my friends over there were really big on nootropics, which is like a brain formula, and they wanted to fuse the two. At first, I was a huge coffee lover, but I was a little skeptical with nootropics, but then they started making the mixes and sending it over, and I'm a very skeptical person, but the nootropics, it really does give me a clearer buzz with the coffee. So, we went with it, we got it go, we've been pushing it, and the company's just been blowing up, and people love it, everyone loves it, and it's, we're getting great reviews, and it's nice seeing something that I started last year really starting to grow.
Is this your exit plan from mixed martial arts? Is this something that will be your full-time job once you leave MMA?
I mean, it's part of it. I have other things going on as well. I have other, I don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, but it's definitely something I'm putting energy into, and it's nice seeing a company that, you start with rapid growth like that.
Where can I get some of this coffee? Do I just go to your website, or can I get it at the grocery store? Yeah, you got to order
online. Unfortunately, we don't sell it in any stores or anything yet, but at some point we'll probably do that. Just chimeracoffee.com. It's on Amazon as well.
Coffee with a K, correct?
Yeah, the coffee spelled with a K. Chimera, Kimera, and then coffee, Koffee.
Mayhem Miller, he's back in mixed martial arts. He's going to be fighting in May in Italy. Since he's back in MMA, are you going to give him his rematch, buddy?
Probably not, because I can't stay out of jail.
True.
He can stay out of jail, maybe. I think he's in, last I heard he was arrested again. That poor guy is a mess. He's just mentally not stable, always going in and out of jail. Hopefully one day he'll get his shit together, but I doubt it.
Can you go anywhere without someone bringing up that little scuffle in Nashville? Can you go anywhere without someone asking you about that?
Yeah, not as much anymore. I mean, for a while everyone's always asking about it. People ask about it occasionally now, but not as much as they used to.
Is there more to the story than we know?
There's a little more to the story, but I don't know if I'm ready to tell that. Mayhem was a little mad at me about a few things.
Okay.
May have stole a girl from him or something, but he's a little butthurt.
You should write a book. And
yeah, I got all the good tell-all. I'm going to rat everybody out.
Yeah. That's funny. Is bully beatdown real?
It's kind of real. They go on there.
I think basically the people pitch stories to MTV. So some of them are real, some of them are fake, and they tell us beat the bullies up a little bit, but like don't try to like seriously hurt them. MTV didn't make the stories up, but the people would send in tapes, and MTV would take them. So it's like a lot of the people probably would make up the stories just trying to get on TV because people want to be on TV. But it wasn't like stuntmen. It was like just, I mean, a lot of the guys had trained some, but it was guys that would go in there and get beat up. Unless they were lying to us and hiding it from us. But I'm pretty sure, if I talked to some of the kids, I'm pretty sure it was like they were like mostly from like LA and around. It was people trying to get on TV.
Do you have any?
Some of the bullies actually thought they were a lot tougher. Some of them, they were guys, a lot of them were guys who were trained in local gyms. They were trained like a year and think they'd look too good as pro fighters, and they didn't realize they weren't at that level.
Do you have any interest in fighting at middleweight again? Because obviously, World Series of Fighting has proven that they'll let fighters fight in any weight class they want as long as the fight makes sense. Look at David Branch. He's the current World Series of Fighting middleweight champion and current World Series of Fighting light heavyweight champion. Then you have Anthony Rumble Johnson. World Series of Fighting allowed him to fight Andrei Arlovsky at heavyweight. So are you interested in fighting at middleweight again?
Yeah, for the right fight. For me, I'm just after fights, but if it was the right fight, then definitely I would jump if it was a fight that makes sense. I think, Branch is their current 85-pound champ. I don't really want to fight him because I go out to New York sometimes, train at Enzo's with John Conaher, and Branch trains there. He's a friend of mine, so I have no interest in fighting Branch, but if there was a fight at that weight that made sense, I would do it.
When would you like to fight again?
I'm ready soon. I'm in good shape now from the grappling match, so it's whenever. I'm basically ready whenever.
Hobbies outside of fighting?
I like doing outdoor stuff. Like when I'm hiking, snowboarding, rock climbing, all that dangerous stuff. But no, I just love being outdoors.
Besides fighting, what are you passionate about?
Yeah, fighting's consumed so much of my life. So I've been lucky where it was my hobby, passion, and career. So I got really fortunate there.
Celebrity people say you look like?
I get Ryan Reynolds. That was when I had hair, though, so I don't know about now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, now I'm probably going to get some skinhead dude. The guy from American History X.
If you could trade places with anyone in the world for a week, who would you trade places with, and why?
Probably Justin Bieber, because he has like thousands of girls screaming, throwing themselves at him instead of a bunch of guy fans like fighters have. But then I'll come back to being me, so I got self-respect and having a real career.
Yeah. It's just 1 week.
Or maybe not. Maybe I'd be like, wait, Justin has it a lot better.
Do you have any pre-fight rituals or superstitions?
No, not really. Just go out there and get a good warm-up, and then that's about it.
Do you have any post-fight rituals?
Get really drunk and make an ass of myself.
When you were fighting for Elite XC and Strikeforce, and I think maybe even the UFC, maybe they did a piece on you, but back when you were fighting for those organizations, these organizations would always put out promotional material where they would show your life outside of fighting, and in those videos, we always used to see your daughter, and we always used to hear about how you're a single father raising your daughter. What happened to her? How's she doing right now? We haven't seen or heard from her in a while. What's your daughter up to nowadays?
She's in high school now. She's 15, so it's pretty nuts. She's getting all grown up. She actually took wrestling up though this year for her first year. Not something I put her into because I was always not against, but never into like girls wrestling. But she took up wrestling, and I didn't realize they have like full-on girl leagues at school, and she did great for her first year. So that was really exciting.
Is she possibly going to be the next Miesha Tate?
Who knows? I would never try to push my daughter into fighting, but now she is wanting to train MMA and stuff. It was, I guess not intentionally sexist, but if I had a son, I probably would have had him training and wrestling. But now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my daughter wants to train. So it's actually fun though that she's starting to train MMA and wrestling and wanting to do all that. And as far as fighting goes, like I said, I would never push her that way. But if she decides she wants to when she gets old enough, that's up to her. I would help her train if she decides she wants to do it.
Favorite food?
Mexican food. I love burritos out here in California.
Least favorite food?
I'm a vegetarian, so I guess anything meat. There's nothing I really hate though. The only food that I can't eat is seaweed. For some reason, seaweed makes me want to gag and throw up.
Have you ever eaten meat?
A few times, like a bite here and there, and I felt really nauseous when I ate it. Didn't set well with my body.
Was that just because you wanted to try it, or was it a dare? Why did you try that?
I tried it once or twice, like in high school, curiosity, and then once or twice, and then some accidents I didn't know about, but then I could tell because my stomach would start knotting up. I'd be like, oh shit, there's meat in something.
Favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant? There's some vegan Chinese restaurant in San Francisco, Golden Era. We go there all the time. Everything's so good.
Favorite band and or solo artist?
Can't think of one band. I like a lot of rock music. Some of the old bands like Red Chili Peppers, Rage Against the Machine. But there's not one band.
Favorite social media platform?
Probably Instagram. I like the pictures. It's easy. You just go on there. It's simple.
Website you visit most often?
They don't go on the website too much, but I don't know. Check the news or something.
Piece of technology you can't live without?
I guess my cell phone. Fortunately, I'm addicted to that.
If you could go on a $1 million shopping spree at any store, what store would you go on that $1 million shopping spree at?
I'm not really a shopper, but with $1 million, I would want to go get some shit for sure. Is there any stores that sell cars?
Sure. Car dealership. What kind?
Exactly. Something like that, so I get some really expensive stuff.
What, like an Aston Martin or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. A couple of them.
Yeah. One in every color.
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets, whether they're professional or personal?
No, there's nothing I sit in regret, obviously there's always things you do different in life, but there's nothing I ever regret.
Some people are afraid of spiders, some people are afraid of heights, some people are afraid of the dark. What are you afraid of?
Nothing really afraid of, but don't really care for snakes. They kind of creep me out when I see a snake.
Yeah. I don't like snakes.
I do get that reflex a little bit when I see snakes, but yeah, I think it's like spiders and stuff don't bother me at all.
If you weren't an MMA fighter, what would your job be?
Good question. Luckily, I'm an MMA fighter. Don't have to think about doing anything else.
Before you were able to make fighting your full-time job, what other jobs did you work?
I worked in construction and stuff in high school, and then in college I worked for a moving service, moving people's furniture. That was terrible. Made me realize I didn't want to do that forever. And then luckily I got into fighting.
What's the best thing that ever happened to you?
I guess stumbling across fighting an accident with Chuck. Having a daughter as well. That's the typical cheesy answer, but it's true.
What's the worst thing that ever happened to you?
Worst thing that ever happened? I'm trying to think of something terrible. I'm pretty fortunate in life where I've had no things that are terrible. So obviously, ups and downs, getting my eyes gouged and shit. But there's nothing that's absolutely terrible.
What's your pet peeve?
Pet peeve? I guess people being late.
Let's say you found a magic lamp, and you rubbed that magic lamp, and a genie appeared, and the genie said he was going to grant you 3 wishes. What would those 3 wishes be?
Endless money, endless youth, and I don't know the other one.
Save it for a rainy day.
Exactly, and save my other one.
Okay. Obviously, you have that one tattoo on your arm that's your logo, basically. I remember your old tap-out shirt. It had that on the front. It's an American Jiu-Jitsu tattoo. But what's that other one? What's that other symbol? Sorry for my ignorance. I don't know what that is on your shoulder. What's that symbol?
Oh, that was just when I was 18. The tribal tattoos are really cool, and I wanted to get a tattoo. And I got something. They didn't really mean anything, so 18. I just wanted a cool tattoo.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I thought about trying to get it covered up, changed into something, but I'm like, whatever. It's part of me now.
Maybe my eyes have been lying to me, but I could swear that after one of your fights, you took out your mouth guard and you were missing a tooth. Is this true, or are my eyes just playing tricks on me? Are you missing any teeth?
You got good eyes, yeah. I always switch it really quick so no one sees, because I got it knocked out. So I got a fake tooth, cap goes in, my mouthpiece. So I guess, you got good eyes. Got knocked out a long time ago in a street fight, and then I had an implant put in, but then eventually I got knocked out again in training, so I just kind of cut the cap in now. But a Dan Henderson tooth, but Dan proudly walks around with it. Me, I'm like, I better hide it up. Yeah, I cover it up pretty well.
Yeah, you do a great job. You were very quick, if I recall, when you took it out. And
give me my tooth.
Yeah, and I noticed you always have your back to the camera whenever you're with your corner guys.
Yeah, I'm on top of it.
Yeah. You're very slick. On the ground and also putting your teeth back in.
Maneuver.
Yeah. Time period you'd like to go back and visit, and why?
man, there's so many cool time periods. I love history, so I don't know exactly when, but probably some of the medieval time days to see how the world was so different. Go back to the Roman Empire or something cool like that.
What do you worry about? What's something that keeps you up at night?
Yeah, I don't worry too much. I live a pretty low stress life. I'm pretty happy with everything, content, and so I don't really worry about too much.
Best advice you ever given through life, and best advice you ever given through fighting, and who gave it to you?
Best advice is life. Can't think of anything. It's more of like, just live the way you want, I guess, from my dad. Through fighting was probably, the first day sparring Chuck Liddell. We were sparring, and he got me a good liver shot, and it hurt. So I kind of grimaced, and he walked over and like punched me 3 times in the liver, and it dropped me. And I'm just like, dude, I think what a dick move. But then Chuck's like, hey, don't ever show when you're hurt. So it was a great lesson. I let him hurt my liver, so I went back and knocked me out with it. And at least he let me know that I showed him he was hurt is why he did it.
What's your hidden talent?
Hidden talent? Oh man, I don't know.
You don't play an instrument or anything like that?
I mean, I can play guitar a little bit, but I'm not very good at it.
Oh.
I haven't played in a long time.
What we see is what we get, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm good at stuff like snowboarding, rock climbing, but those are pretty straightforward athletic things. So.
Right. And you're a real athletic guy. We'd expect that from you.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it's my crazy surprise.
Number one thing on your bucket list?
My bucket list. I mean, I just love to travel and see the world. Unfortunately, I've been able to do a lot of that. So it's there's a ton of things I want, a ton of places and things I still want to do, but I'm kind of slowly picking those off.
If you could change one thing about the world, what would you change and why?
I mean, that's a tough one because there's a lot right with the world and a lot wrong with the world. So it's I guess to give the generic answer, end hunger for the poor people.
Last question, Jake. Let's say you were on death row and about to be executed. What would your last meal be? And I need an entree, a dessert, and a beverage. What would your last meal be?
I mean, a burrito for my entree, obviously. Got to go get a burrito, and then for last, I guess I'll take some juice, get like an orange juice, fresh squeezed, and what do I want for dessert? Some kind of, I guess I'll go with ice cream.
All right, good deal. Jake, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you would like to thank, and is there anything you want to say to the fans?
Yeah, thanks fans for supporting me, and just, I'd like to thank, check out Chimera Coffee, of course. That's my company and my business partners, and then PostFight, we're a new sponsor. It's an Asian company, a fight wear team, and then and thanks fans for always being there. Check me out, AJJ at Twitter, or Jake Shields, AJJ on Twitter.
Jake, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot.